The Me Too movement has hit every aspect of American society: government, finance, law, the media, and entertainment. Just this week, famed tenor Placido Domingo was forced to step away from a scheduled appearance at New York's Metropolitan Opera after allegations by a number of women of sexual harassment. He strongly denies the allegations, adding, "I'm concerned about a climate in which people are condemned without due process." And you're about to meet two lawyers, women who agree, saying the Me Too movement has gone too far, sometimes they say creating a mob mentality, especially on college campuses.
The football team, the Penguins, are the pride of Youngstown University.
Big Malik Richmond, the senior.
But there was outrage when word spread that a star of the football team, number 12, Malik Richmond, had been convicted of rape as a juvenile several years earlier.
Two high school football stars accused of sexual assault was exploding on the internet and dividing people in Steubenville, Ohio.
The trial received national attention. Richmond and another member of his high school football team in Steubenville, Ohio, were found guilty of raping a teenage girl during a drunken party, with the evidence including a damning videotape of other students boasting of what happened.
They raped her.
This is the funniest thing I've ever
They
seen.
raped her harder than that cop raped Marcellus Wallace in Pulp Fiction.
But after serving a year in prison, Richmond enrolled at Youngstown University, and the coach had no problem adding him to the football team.
I think he'd earned that over not only what he did with us, but what he'd endured over the last 4 or 5 years.
But thousands of students signed petitions to remove Richmond from the team, far greater numbers than those who supported him.
There also is another petition out saying a second chance for Malik. That is only at 119 signatures, and that other signature petition is at 7,000 signatures.
The school gave in, kicking Richmond off the team. So he fought back, hiring two lawyers from Cleveland to go to court and defend him from what they called a mob mentality.
I think that was a case that really highlighted the danger and the challenges attendant to mob mentality.
KRISTINA Supler and Susan Stone have taken on what is for many a very unpopular set of clients.
We're first and foremost two females in a Me Too world representing mostly males accused of sex issues.
And they won in court in Youngstown, arguing the school was wrong to apply federal law called Title IX, which they said did not cover a case that occurred before a student was at the university.
He was a good student. There were absolutely no conduct violations. This young student is a wonderful human being who's really learned from his experience and did not deserve to be punished twice.
But it took going to court.
Yes.
So many of these cases.
Yes, it took going to court.
And now that's what they're doing around the country, fighting back against schools they say often don't know what they're doing as they try to deal with allegations of sexual abuse and assault.
They become mini courts, Brian, and I mean, we have called a lot of them kangaroo courts because, let's be fair, these are people who make up college body, the faculty, the administration, even the IT person can take part in the investigation and the adjudication of the process.
For example, they took the College of Charleston to court to defend a student who had been cleared by law enforcement but was still being investigated of sexual assault by the college authorities.
I think no school wants to be viewed as not taking sexual assault seriously. And so colleges and universities are again wrestling with this tension between fairness, but also taking a strong position to address what is a scourge.
The issue was highlighted during the Supreme Court confirmation hearings for Brett Kavanaugh, accused of sexual assault when he was an undergrad at Yale, allegations he strongly denied.
Well, if the same thing happened today at Yale, Yale probably would issue and commence an investigation into Justice Kavanaugh, and he would be facing not only just an investigation, but a suspension or potential expulsion from school or worse.
Schools issue no contact orders, an investigation unfolds. It's not unusual at all for students who have been accused before an investigation has even begun to be asked to move out of a dorm, to have their class schedule juggled and reorganized to avoid running into an accuser at a certain point on campus.
So Justice Kavanaugh's life would essentially be ruined even before an investigation would be commenced.
Yet the issue of sex assaults on campuses, including rape, is clearly a scourge that has not been addressed fully. One recent survey found that 1 in 5 female students in their 4th year of college had experienced attempted or completed sexual assault while in college. And while 65% of surveyed rape victims reported what happened to their friends or family, less than 10% reported it to police or school officials. But these two lawyers say the pendulum has now swung too far, with a lack of fairness and due process, and a number of unintended consequences.
We've wrestled with students calling us saying that they're so depressed, and again, that comes back to that approach of treating our students with compassion and care.
You've had clients who are suicidal?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Many.
Because?
Because they've lost their friends, they're kicked out of their fraternity, they're kicked out of their sports teams, nobody wants to talk to them, nobody wants to study with them, and they feel such shame after the allegation and such loneliness and such despair that they can't see beyond a better future.
A Title IX finding on a student's record is really the modern-day scarlet letter.
To get a different perspective on this, I talked this week with one of the lawyers who's been a leader in helping women stand up to men who they say have abused them. GENIE Harrison has her own firm in Los Angeles, and I asked her if she thought Me Too had gone too far, if there was, in fact, a mob mentality.
I don't see that at all. In fact, in my practice, I find that it is exceptionally difficult for victims to come forward and report. They are terrified about the consequences. And many of them, even when I meet with them and offer a tremendous amount of support, which is a core function of my office, is offering that support to victims and survivors, they even still decide that they're not going to come forward and report. There are many people who don't come forward and report because it's just too scary. So I don't think it's a mob mentality. I don't think there's anything that has gone too far. Victims have always been accused of making accusations or reporting incidents that the defendant or the accused say never happened. It's the same song, a little bit of a different tune.
Can both be true, though? Can there be cases where men are essentially what they say railroaded or falsely accused?
I mean, there are people who make false claims, but that's part of the system. The system is set up to handle that, to test the claims. And for victims to have to testify and put up evidence, which includes their testimony about what happened. And the system is configured so that there are going to be credibility determinations that are made by the trier of fact, whether that is in, school sex abuse cases or office and work sexual harassment cases. That's the purpose of the system.
So when these two lawyers who represent primarily men on campuses say they have sympathy for these men, they are ostracized often, some of them, they say, have actually been suicidal because of the allegations. Is there a problem with the process on college campuses?
No, I don't think there's a problem with the process on college campuses. I think that what does happen, there are some cases, obviously, on an individualized basis that seem not to be warranted, where certain, alleged conduct doesn't seem to have occurred. And there is no doubt that those who are accused of conduct in which they did not engage suffer as a result. But there are many people who actually have engaged in really inappropriate conduct, including sexual abuse, and take things way too far. And really, inflict tremendous emotional suffering on women and men whom they attack, and their lives are changed forever. And so I think it's regrettable when people choose to make false accusations, but I think that we cannot allow the backlash, which was almost instantaneous when the Me Too movement began. We cannot allow the backlash to further drive away the victims who really do need to come forward and report these incidents.
GENIE Harrison, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate your insights.
Thank you so much.